Are you an autistic parent? Do you have questions about parenting? Do you ever wonder if autistic people can make good parents? We're going to answer these 4 questions. We're going to talk about 1, challenges you can have from being an autistic parent. 2, we're going to answer, should I tell my kids I have autism? 3, can autistic people make good parents? 4, finally, tips for autistic parents. First of all, shout out to all the autistic parents out there. Please comment down below if you're an autistic parent. I would just love to know. Yeah, this topic is for you. Or if you're thinking about becoming a parent, this might absolutely help you as well. So let's dive right in. Question number 1. What are some challenges that can arise from being a parent with autism? It really feels like there's little information on this. If you try to do a search on the web, a lot of times it's going to pull up things like parenting kids with autism when you're really trying to look for adults with autism parenting kids. So I hope this video is going to help out with some extra information on that. With the explosion of people being diagnosed and suspecting they have autism, there's really a big need for this topic because many of us do have kids. Can you imagine how many parents out there are autistic that have kids and don't even realize they're autistic and that are struggling? So here is a parenting fail video example from me in the emotions of how I was feeling about a situation that was going on. Autistic parent, I just wondered if you can relate to this also. Like, do you just feel guilty all the time? Like, you could have spent time with your kids, but you chose to spend time on your hobbies. Like, do you ever go through that? I had recorded this after a particularly hard day of feeling guilt about spending time on my hobby rather than with my son some of my day. Now, I did end up doing some things with him later in the day, but the guilt had already set in. So what are some of the struggles that you can experience when you're raising kids with autism? Well, you have hobbies and obsessions you probably enjoy doing. And when you have kids, it takes away time from those hobbies and obsessions that you enjoy. So that might cause some frustration in you. You might feel frustrated and feel like it's not fair, because you want to do your hobbies. You're having to deal with kids maybe, so it affects that. Number 2 issue is that kids make loud noises and can have some smelly smells. There's sometimes these loud noises that kids make could cause a meltdown in a parent with autism if you're not careful, because children, they're spontaneous. They do things you don't know they're going to do, make noises, drop things, throw things, bounce. It can really affect you if you're not careful. So another thing you have to deal with is when kids get old enough to want to have spend the night company, and you're going to have to deal with parents. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to arrange things and get in your zone where it's not comfortable maybe. But then you want your kids to have friends, so it's hard. It is something that cannot be avoided. Your children, when they make friends with other kids and have them want to come over to your house. And also, if they're in sports, you're going to have to attend a lot of loud events, possibly. If they're in the band, that's, loud events. You have to deal with that. You have to go with them possibly to birthday parties where you have to be around other parents, other people, loud noises, screaming. It's just part of it, really. It's just something you just are going to have to deal with as a parent with autism. You will have to deal with things like not having your routines. Something may come up with your kids and you've got to do something for them. You don't get to do that, maybe that bedtime ritual or morning ritual, because you are having to help your kids out with a project, or maybe they become sick and you've got to help them out. By the way, all these things apply to being an autistic grandparent as well, because my daughter, who's 29, has 4 kids. So, it just keeps going generation after generation where you have to learn how to deal with these issues in a way that you can all live with. Number 2, should I tell my kids I have autism? You may be wondering this, especially if you're newly diagnosed. Maybe you suspect you have autism. Should you tell them? I think depending on their age, it's good to be open and honest with your kids always. Here's why you should tell your kids you have autism. They may be thinking you're a narcissistic parent as they get older, and you look back and you realize all these years they thought you were narcissistic when really you were just autistic. I went over to my daughter's apartment one day to help out with cleaning her apartment, trying to help her out, had to babysit, and I came across a book. And then before you know it, your kids are grown and they think this whole time you've been narcissistic when you've just really been autistic and you've really just been giving it the best you got. Will I ever be good enough? Healing the daughters of narcissistic mothers. I was floored. I called her immediately and I said, did you feel like I was narcissistic when you were growing up? And she said, I did until you got an autistic diagnosis. So thank goodness I told her, because all these years she's felt like I was something other than what I really was. And now she understands. She knows I do love her. So my son, he was about 12 when I got the diagnosis, and I've been open with him as much as I can. So there are times that I forget to call my adult daughter. I get wrapped up in what I'm doing, especially on my day off. I can spend hours and hours doing my hobby while my son is homeschooling, not even think to call anybody, reach out to anybody, eat. For me, sometimes it really is out of sight, out of mind. But my daughter understands this about me, and as soon as I realize, hey, maybe I should pick up the phone and just dial my daughter and see how she's doing, I definitely do that when I remember. Number 3, can autistic parents be good parents? Yes, they can, absolutely. Especially if you're aware of yourself and if you know your diagnosis. Whether you get a formal diagnosis or you just know because you know you've watched so many videos and you know you have the symptoms and you realize, yes, you are autistic. I feel that we are more likely to strive to have a routine for our kids. You know, we will have the typical reading, bedtime routines, morning routines. So that's, you know, obviously a good thing for kids. Especially if you have autistic kids. You know, if you're autistic parent, you will understand your autistic kids and how to help them better and what their needs are. We are problem solvers. And, you know, we're going to be the ones to solve a problem for them. We usually show our love by doing rather than communicating, I feel like. And finally, number 4, what are some tips that you could use as an autistic parent? Accept where you are, have grace with yourself, and know that it can be good to be a parent with autism. There are challenges, but it's rewarding as well. Don't be hard on yourself. There may be more challenges for you as an autistic parent, but it can work. You may have to do things differently, but there's nothing wrong with that. Make some time for yourself. This is imperative. Especially if you feel like you're coming upon a meltdown of some kind or experiencing one. If you have a spouse or partner or somebody who can watch the kids and give you time, you need it. You got to take it. You have to. Don't neglect yourself. And when you take care of yourself, you can be a better parent for your kids. And if your kids do know that you have autism, there's no shame in explaining to them, hey, mommy needs time for herself. I feel like, you know, I'm about to lose it or have a meltdown, and I love you, but I've got to take this time for myself, and then when I'm better, we'll spend more time together. Nothing wrong with that. Would you share down below what are some of your strategies as a parent for when you are parenting your kids that might help other people that are watching this video? Join in the conversation. Tell them all about what you do as a parent, or any other things you would like to comment down below about. If you're enjoying this video, could you just please go down there and subscribe? And then we can help get this video out to other people who are learning about autism and can find this information useful for themselves. I would so appreciate it. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks for being part of the conversation. And thanks for being on this journey together as we navigate autism and learning more about it. I'd love to hear your opinions as well. and we will see you in the next video. Bye.